chat recently with somebody who used to be super fit and is stuck at a desk job at a computer all day long, and for various reasons they're not getting their usual exercise. And recently they experienced a really acute hamstring cramp, something that they weren't used to. So why might that have happened, and more importantly, what can we do about it? If we are in a seated position and we're at our computer, we're probably like this, aren't we? With the best will in the world. I do it too. In this position, you can see my lower hamstrings are actually in a short position. They're not getting the opportunity to lengthen and extend the knee. My upper hamstrings are actually in a lengthened position. So they're not getting to extend at the hip, to tighten and shorten here. And your upper thighs are also getting compressed, getting squished against the chair. So our body can cope with this position. We can slouch and our body can cope with that. Front of the body is shortened here, the back of the body is lengthened. And your body's really good at coping, but it also likes variety. So when the body is not getting variety, it will often say, well, feck you, I'm going to let you know about it. And that's when we experience the aches and pains, discomfort, and sometimes cramps, as the body says, I want change. So let's look at a few little exercises that you can do to counterbalance that repetition of a sitting position, okay, and just give those muscles something different to play with. Bridge variations are one of my favourite ways to get your hamstrings and glutes really firing up. So let's think about several variations here. So first, a basic bridge. Just lift your hips up and lower them back down. Now as you're lifting up, really think about squeezing your backside muscles, okay? So squeeze those glutes and feel that you're trying to lengthen your knees away from you. So we're trying to push the knees towards the wall away from you. What I'd also like you to notice is that you don't puff or bulge the body upwards. So we don't need to drive the body higher. Squeeze your bum, drive your knees a little bit forward. Relax the neck and the shoulders. So that's our basic bridge. Now let's take those same principles and let's put them to a one-legged bridge. So you're going to bring one leg in, and what I want you to picture is that you've got an orange between your thigh and your torso, and you want to try and hold on to it. So as you lift the hips upwards, what you're going to notice is the leg wants to stray away, and you'll drop your orange. So really work to keep that leg in close. You're probably not going to go as high with this one. Now you may find that this variation sets off hamstring cramps because the body's not used to this demand and has a little panic. So if that's happening, just go back to our two-legged version and work with that for now, and gradually see if you can become accustomed to doing a one-legged bridge. Keep that upper leg strongly pulling in towards your torso as you do so. And obviously working both sides. So you're going to try to do an equal number of repetitions, however many that might be. Maybe we do 8, maybe we do 10, maybe we do a few sets each side. Now we're going to, that's a strength variation. We're going to do a coordination variation now, and I love this. It's a great challenge for your brain. Rest your hands in the front of your hips and lift your hips just an inch or two off the floor. So it's a really small little lift. And we're going to look to keep your hips absolutely steady and level. Lift 1 foot 1 inch off the mat and place it back down, and then lift the other. Now what you're going to notice is that you're probably inclined to make a bigger movement here. You'll be inclined to lift the leg high. So try to keep the position of the hips low and the lift of the foot low. Now I'm going to ask you to breathe out as you lift the foot and breathe in as you place it back down. Now that might feel a little bit odd, but there's some very good reasons why I'm asking you to do that. Exhale to lift, inhale to lower. Now, I know that you are probably cheating with this exercise by bracing your elbows.
So I'm going to ask you to continue the movement, keeping your hips barely lifted off the mat, lifting 1 foot at a time, 1 inch off the floor, and at the same time, let's hover your elbows off the mat. So you're going to find that makes it a hell of a lot harder. Exhale to lift, inhale to lower. Relax your throat, relax your neck, soften your shoulders. Keep the line from one hip across to the other as steady as you can, and releasing back down. Now, can we combine a little bit of that coordination challenge with some of the strength challenge that we had with our one-legged bridge? So we're going to come up into a nice lifted bridge. Drive out over your knees again. So feel that you're trying to lengthen the front of your hips here. And actually bring your hands to the front of your hips and just rub the front of the hips there a little bit. And really picture that you're trying to lengthen this space here. Now, we're going to do our marching bridge again, but this time we're going to lift the leg up high. So you're folding one leg in towards your torso. You're thinking about squeezing that orange that we had there a moment ago. At the same time, we're really working to keep those hips lifted, but also level. So try not to waver your pelvis around an awful lot. Working this movement as many repetitions as feels good for you for today, and returning back down. So there's a few good variations on our bridge to play around with. See what challenges you, not struggle, challenge, and see if you can improve upon that over time.
If we're spending a lot of time at a desk, on a computer, looking at a screen, or even if we're spending a lot of time on devices, our range of vision, our focus of our brain, but also the muscles of the eyes, is narrowed. It's a short range. And we can explore this and change this around a little bit. And this is really good for our brain, but also for the muscles of the body. So what we're going to do is we're going to go from this small focused range and we're going to take it out into our periphery vision. This is called owl eyes, okay? So if you picture an owl with its big eyes. So instead of being all drawn inwards, let's open it up. So what I want you to do is to take your 2 index fingers out in front of you, and you're going to gaze off into the distance as much as you can. So if you're somewhere that you can look out a window or you can look at the horizon, wonderful. So it's going to take your periphery vision or your central vision out in front of you. Now we want your peripheral vision to look at your fingers as you move the fingers out to the 2 sides. So your gaze stays central and forward, and try to be aware of your fingers as they slowly move out to the 2 sides. So at a certain point, they're going to disappear. So for me, they're just about going out of my vision now, okay? And what you'll notice is that my eyes have opened wider, my face, my whole visage has opened, but also my upper body and my neck have all reflected that as well. So let's try that again. Index fingers reaching out and posted up in front of you. Your gaze as far into the distance as you can, and your gaze is soft. Keep your gaze soft and unfocused as you slowly move the fingers out to the side. So keep your brain's awareness on your 2 fingers. So noticing your fingers for as long as you can, keep them in the periphery of your vision, and then they're gone. One of the interesting things I find about this exercise is we have a dominant eye. So the same way as you have a dominant hand and leg, you also have a dominant eye. Now my dominant eye is my left eye, but I can actually continue to see my right finger for longer. So my peripheral vision is better on my non-dominant side. So play around with that. Owl eyes to open up your vision. An exercise that we can do at the desk to promote shoulder mobility and upper spine mobility is very, very worthwhile. So our thoracic spine, the upper part of your back, can often become a little bit stuck and rigid here, as can the shoulders. This also has a continuity down into what's going on with the hips, the hamstrings, and all the way down. So what I want you to do is to put your two fists touching each other, okay, and rest them in against your chest. So this is our starting point here. So we start here and we keep coming back to here. Your thumbs are resting against your sternum. Now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a circle around your head with your thumbs, okay? And then we're going to go back the way we came. So each time you come back to the chest, circle, drawing a circular frame around the face one way and then around the other way. Now this may be enough for your shoulder range of motion, but if we can, I'd like you to bring the hands back a little bit so they're above the top of the head, and then back to our start position, reversing above the top of the head. Now if we have the mobility, and hopefully over time you will improve your mobility, we're going to bring those hands right back behind us. So what we'd like is to be able to take them right around the base of the skull here and back to the starting position, reversing right around the back here. So as we're making that movement, pointing the elbows up towards the ceiling rather than out to the two sides, okay? So we're keeping them in relatively close through the movement. Now you can work that just with the weight of the arms, or we can add weight, okay? So do practice it without weight to assess, well, what movement pattern is acceptable to my body before we load it. So this is a simple little dumbbell. You could use a can of beans, okay? You could use a bottle of water. And I love the bottle of water because you can change how much water is in the bottle, and then you can figure out, okay, can I make it harder by putting more water, or do I need to make it easier with less water? So holding your chosen weight in front of the chest and then sweeping it back around. Now this exercise is called a halo because we are polishing our halo. Now remember, respect your mobility. So maybe your movement is here around the face and the head. Maybe it goes a little bit back above the head. And if we have more range of movement that we're happy with, we can take that weight all the way back around the base of the skull. So do experiment. And what this exercise does is it really opens up the whole shoulder girdle, but it does create a little bit of subtle movement in that thoracic spine, taking it into a little bit of extension rather than flexion, okay, and creating that subtle rotation as well. A spine twist is a really useful exercise for the center line of the body, your spine, and this impacts upon absolutely everything, okay? And this is a really nice exercise that we can do in our chair at our desk. So I'm sitting on the floor here, but you can do this sitting on a chair. So think about your sit bones, okay, the two bones on the chair, and just really feel where they are, have a little rock around, and make sure that we settle and anchor them to the chair. So they're not going to be moving around when we're doing this movement. Bring your hands to your chest and just for a moment hunch up. And I want you to picture that a puppeteer has pulled your shoulders upwards by strings, and we're going to cut those strings and let your shoulders drop down. So throughout this movement, I want those puppeteer strings cut. Allow your chin to soften in towards your throat, and notice that the back of the neck feels soft and long. Now, very simply, we're just going to rotate around the central axis of the spine. So twisting through the spine to one side, back to center, and then to the other. So this is actually quite a small movement, but it's very profound in its effect on a desk worker's spine. It's a very useful exercise for that purpose. Now I want you to notice a number of things. So as we twist, are you moving your sit bones on the chair? So remember, we want to keep them anchored and steady. So if that makes the movement a little smaller, then great. Okay, so keep your sit bones anchored and steady. Now also notice as we twist, are we tending to create the twist by lifting our shoulders? So remember, we cut those puppeteer strings. So take note, Are you letting that puppeteer take control, or are you keeping your shoulder blades soft and dropped? Now notice, are you bunching up and tightening in the neck? So remember, we allowed the throat to be soft and the back of the neck to be long. So see if we can keep that as well. So it looks really simple, but there's a lot going on, isn't there? Now, I'm going to get you to do something that will make a profound change to this movement, okay? Your breath. So what I'd like you to do is to breathe out as you turn and breathe in as you face forward. Exhale to twist, inhale to face forward. If it feels weird, then this is something that's worthwhile for you to do. This is getting all of the muscles of the torso working really well together. So breathing out to twist, breathing in to face forward. Sit bones anchored, puppeteer's strings cut, throat soft, neck long. Our simple spine twist can be progressed upon by bringing your fingertips softly behind your ears. Now make sure that we're not gripping or holding or hunching with this. So make sure those fingertips really are softly resting behind your ears. And then continue with the twist. Breathe out to turn, breathe in to face forward. Sit bones anchored, puppeteer's strings cut, let those shoulder blades drop. Exhale to twist, inhale to face forward. Throat soft, back of the neck long. So that's a beautiful variation, but you may find that you get a little bit of pins and needles or it doesn't quite feel comfortable. So quite okay to come back to having the hands resting on the chest. A desk worker will benefit from just getting out of the chair and doing something that rattles the body and brain a little bit and gets things moving in a different way. Here's a really nice way to do that. This exercise is going to lengthen out the leg and the back of the leg a little bit. It's going to wake up the chain of muscles up along the back of the body, which if we're in that desk position a lot, this is a really nice way to, as I say, just wake them up a little bit. It's also going to open up the chest, and because it requires a little bit of coordination, it helps to shift the brain and the focus as well. So great all-rounder. Let's come on to our hands and knees. And what we're going to think about is your leg stretching out behind you. And what you're going to do is rest on the inner arch of the leg. So you're rotating the leg a little bit as you stretch it outwards. At the same time, let's try reach the hand up towards the ceiling. Now, if you find it very hard to balance here, keep your gaze down towards the floor. That will help. But if you can, do turn your gaze to look up towards that hand. This is a really nice challenge for your brain. Switching over, coming back in. So stretch the leg out, rest on the inner edge, the arch of the foot, and then stretch the arm up towards the ceiling. Turning our gaze if possible. Now a little tweak for this, if you're finding that you're really not balancing, put the leg a little bit further out to the side, and your support leg, you can actually rotate that a little bit as well. So that'll give us a little bit more balance here. So play around with that, working from one side to the other. Now what I'm going to suggest here is that you breathe out as you stretch and reach. Breathe in as you come back to center. Breathe out as you stretch. Now look to lengthen the leg as it stretches out and really focus on that sensation of pushing out long through the leg. As the arm reaches upwards, feel that you create length and space in that arm also, whether you're looking down towards the floor or up towards the hand itself. So feel that whole side of the body becoming elongated. You are twisting a little bit through the spine, which is a lovely action for a desk worker. And we're also getting a little bit of extension through the spine. There's a whole lot of good stuff going on here.